What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are building exhaust for the TDI swap. So I'm very excited to get working today, mainly because I just got this lift set up and I haven't used it yet. So very excited to get started. So we got a bunch of 45s. I'm not doing the whole pie cut. We're not taking that much time to build this exhaust system. Plus, it's not that big of a deal to me. So I got a bunch of 45 straights. We got the flex pipe, all that good stuff. So here is everything we got for the system. Like I said, a bunch of 45s, the flex, the hangers, we got a V-band, and then the flange for the turbo. And then this is a 2.5 inch hole here. This is 3-inch pipe, so I got this 2.5 to 3-inch adapter that's going to go just like that. So what we get started with, tack this onto the flange, and then it's just going to go straight 45 from the turbo down, which is going to be very easy. Like I said, we don't have to do some crazy pie cut downpipe. You can see just a simple 45 actually fits really nice. There's so much room down here. It's going to make for an easy exhaust routing. So let's get started with, like I said, tack that on. We'll get this cut if we need to cut it, get that routed down. So we're just going to come down from the turbo here, 45, and then another 45 like this, you know, just to straighten it out to go to the rear of the truck. So pretty simple. We also do have to do the flex joint. So where you want the flex joint, you want the flex joint in between the motor and the first mount to the frame, so that when the motor moves, there is a little bit of play in this exhaust. So right after the downpipe is where we're going to put the flex joint. Well, there is the start of the downpipe. So I did have to do one little piece of pie just to bend it away from one of the brake lines in there. But other than that, it's very, very simple. So I'm still waiting for the new blades. I actually bought some good blades for this. Supposed to be good for stainless, but I haven't got them yet. So I am stuck using that old beater. But one thing that I want to talk about real quick is when you're welding this stuff, when you're TIG welding any pipe like this, the fit up. So with having this, I just bought this. This is my first time using this little belt sander here. You can flatten them out. You can get a nice flat straight cut. You can see the fit up on this. There literally isn't a single gap. You can straighten everything out, make it fit up so good, so easy to weld. The tacks, you just barely have to touch it and you get a nice tack. So I would definitely recommend getting something like this, a belt sander. I wouldn't necessarily recommend having a saw like that unless you're working with Evolution and have one of their really good circular saws with a stainless blade. If I can find a good bandsaw blade, that is a very good option, mainly because it doesn't make a mess. It doesn't stink up the shop. You know, when your circular saw, especially the abrasive saw, it makes a big mess and it stinks up the shop. With a bandsaw like that, it doesn't do that. It's a lot cleaner, a lot safer, but either way, definitely get something like this to flatten these things out and just make sure you get a good fit up. It's going to be so much easier when you go to weld it. But we'll throw this thing on real quick. I'll show you kind of why I had to bend it out of the way. So you can see right there, if I were to go straight out, it would have hit that brake line. I'll still probably bend that out of the way a little bit, get it closer to the inner fender there, but that's looking really good. I am happy with that. So we need to jack this thing up and get the other 45 on, and then we can get the flex pipe, all that good stuff. Let's get the truck in the air and figure that out. All right, we are ready to tack these two pieces of the downpipe together. One thing you got to be aware of when you're doing stainless is you need to protect the inside of the weld, whether that be fill the entire pipe with an argon gas, or you can use something like this. For exhaust, I prefer the solar flux just because it's a lot cheaper to fill. While if you were to do the full exhaust system, you would have to fill the entire exhaust system with argon gas, and that can get really expensive. For something like exhaust, solar flux will work just fine. What you do is you mix it with 100% methanol, and you take like a Q-tip and just rub it on the inside of the pipe where you're going to be welding, and that will protect the inside of the weld. If you don't do anything, you'll get like really crusty crap that can actually fall off, and the welds can crack as well. So if you're doing something like intake, you don't want to use solar flux because it does stay on the pipe and it can come off, and it is pretty hard once it dries. So you don't want that going through your motor. Something like exhaust, it works just fine. So I got all the stuff you can get in here with a Q-tip so I can get all these joints, but something like when I weld this together, you're not going to be able to get down in there. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through and coat every joint that I'm going to be welding right now, just so I don't forget, and make sure that they are coated. And then we'll tack these together. We'll get the flex joint here, get it mounted up, and then we can start with some straight, come back up over the axle and out behind the tire. There we go, guys. Downpipe is all tacked together. So I put the flex and the V-band right here, just so I can take this downpipe off and make it a lot easier with the V-band right there. So now we just gotta weld it together. I wanna get this fully welded, and then we can start on the rest. One nice thing about not purging is we don't have to let it fill up. We don't have to worry about anything now. Now that the inside is coated, all we gotta do is weld it. So I'm gonna go through with acetone, clean everything, clean the entire pipe, make sure it is spotless, and then we can start welding this thing together. Also, this flange right here needs to be bolted onto a sink, a heat sink, just so it stays straight. And I actually did already drill holes in this plate for it. So I'm gonna bolt that on. And then when you weld the V-band, you want to put the other half of the V-band and then clamp it nice and tight, and then let all this cool, let the entire pipe cool before you pull that V-band off or before you pull this plate off. There we have it, boys. She is fully welded up, looking super good. This weld was pretty tough because the clamp was right there. You can see I literally had to just butt up against the clamp, but we got it. We didn't weld it on, and all these other welds actually turned out really good, especially up on the flange with the heat sink. Pulls so much heat out of where you're welding. It really does weld nice. So this is just about cooled off. I'm gonna give it just a couple more minutes, let it completely cool till it feels like the pipe. It's just a little bit warmer, so let it completely cool. We'll throw the downpipe on, and then I got the next piece here with the other side of the V-band welded on. So we're gonna go straight back to where we gotta jump up and above over the axle. All right, we got this second piece on, but looking at this downpipe, I am not really liking it. I think I need to extend it down a little bit. You can see up here, it is really close to the top, and I got plenty, like 3-4 inches underneath. And another thing, it's kind of pitched up right here, and then this is gonna be pitched down to clear that cross member. So it's kind of a weird little zigzag right there. Not too stoked on that. So what I think I'm gonna do is just cut that right up here, just drop it down, get it away from the body a little farther, and then this will be able to go straight back, and it'll solve a lot of issues. So I'm probably just gonna drop it about 1 inch, just weld 1 inch little chunk of pipe right into here and drop everything down. All right, making some progress here. So I got the entire system kind of taped together. Got tape there, holding it all in place, zip tied up. This stuff is tacked, but that needs to be fully welded. I just kind of wanted to route it and figure out where we are going. So I'm having a little bit of an issue routing it back through here. The best place I found was in between the leaf and the frame. I know some of you guys are gonna say when it flexes, it's probably gonna hit. I kind of did a little bit of a measurement from if the leaf ran straight up and the bump stop hit the frame, it would just barely touch. But I am doing new leaves. I am doing the OME leaf, so I think that'll be just fine. I can always raise it up a little bit more, maybe another 1/4 inch. I mean, we don't need a whole lot of gap back here, but that should be just fine. The stock exhaust ran kind of snaked through here, ran down here, and then out right here. I really don't like that. Plus, to run a 3-inch pipe through here is going to be really close to that spare tire. So I think that's my best option right there. So I'm going to take this apart, get it all tacked together, fully welded in. We got to weld in those mounts there, and then I'll probably put one more mount back here and just route it up to the factory mount here, or I might even use that stock mount. Figure that out, but let's get this thing welded together and finished up. There we go, fully welded up. It turned out super good. So now we got to throw this back on and weld on the mounts, and we should be done. All right, we got all the mounts welded on fully. One last look at this before it's at its final resting place. We are done with this exhaust, 100%. Check it out, looking good, all mounted up. Hopefully this won't have any issues with this pipe. I did tuck it up nice and tight, and you can see there's plenty of room. Plus, like I said, when I get my lift springs on here, it should be even better. So I'm not too worried about that. If I do have issues with flexing and it smashing into the pipe, I suppose I could redo it, but I'm not too worried about that right now. So very, very happy with how it turned out. One cool thing, I don't know if I'll cover it up, but you kind of look through here, get a little peek at the downpipe. So super, super happy with how this whole system turned out. Let's have a little peek up here, see how it's looking. It's been a while since we looked at it from this view. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to do is I'll probably just, truck's moving, probably unbolt that little mount there. I may redo the mount, but I want to push this brake line over. I probably got about 1 inch, I can move it over, get it away from the downpipe, but everything else clears really, really good with that downpipe. Well, there it is. I just took that mount off and bent that out of the way, and it's plenty solid. I don't even think I'll need that mount. If I do have issues, I'll just bolt it on right there or something and call it a day. So that should be good. Well, that's a wrap, guys. Super, super happy with how this exhaust turned out. I'm getting so anxious. I want to start this thing so bad. Waiting for my ECU. It should be back pretty soon. I had to send it off for the tune and all that good stuff. So once we get the ECU, we can finally start this thing. We are 100% ready. Other than minor details like we got to put oil in it, hook up all the wiring, or at least plug everything in. It should be wired in, I hope anyway. So we'll see about that. Once we get the ECU, we can fire it up and see what it does. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.